My niece sent me her Christmas list, a MacBook Pro, a designer bag, and $1,000 in cash. I replied, "You'd be lucky to get a candle." My brother shot back, "Then stay away from our house." So I did. A week later, my brother sent a request for $2,000 via Venmo. I smiled and replied with, "I actually got mad when I read it." It was a Tuesday afternoon, cold outside. That gray kind of New York December cold where the light never really shows up. I was at work still running on the high of my promotion. 2 weeks into being VP of marketing. My own office, my own team, the corner window view I used to stare at and daydream from the cubicles. Felt like I'd finally climbed out of the hole. All the skipped weekends, the 11 p.m. emails, the miserable salary negotiations, it had finally paid off. So, I was still in that headspace when I checked my phone during a meeting break and saw the message from my niece Harper. She's 12, a sharp kid. Always had a little attitude, but I never really minded it before. She'd been sweet once. She used to draw me cards when she was younger. Used to call me her cool aunt. That version of her disappeared the second I started doing well. Attached to the message was a photo. Pink paper, bubble letters, glitter pen. Looked like a school project. But when I read the list, my jaw tightened. MacBook Pro, Marc Jacobs tote bag, $1,000 cash. Nothing else. No smiley faces. No, "Hi Aunt Julia." No, "Hope you're doing well." Just demands like I was her personal assistant. It hit a nerve. Not because of the list itself. I can afford all those things 10 times over. But because I realized right then that this was who she was turning into. And it wasn't random. It was learned. I texted her back, "You'll be lucky to get a candle." I didn't think much of it. Thought maybe it would shake her a little. Remind her I'm not just some ATM with a Christmas bow on top, but I should have known better. Not even 5 minutes later, my brother Matt calls. I let it ring. I was still fuming, and I wasn't in the mood to hear his voice. A minute after the missed call, a text came through. "Then stay away from our house." That was it. No explanation, no attempt to ask what happened or if she said something out of line. Just a threat. Think I was the problem. So I did exactly that. I canceled my flight. I skipped Christmas with the family for the first time in 10 years. I stayed in the city and went to dinner with some coworkers who didn't expect gifts or make passive-aggressive comments about how money changes people. I thought it would end there. Silent treatment. Maybe a guilt trip in January. Instead, exactly 1 week later, I get a Venmo notification. Request from Matt Parker. Amount, $2,000. Note, holiday expenses. You know how it is. I sat there and stared at it for a good minute. No shame, no hesitation, just a casual $2,000 ask like I was running a loan office for ungrateful relatives. I didn't even think. I hit decline. Then I sent him a reply with 2 words, "Try working." I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. Not even close. That was just the beginning. Because once I stopped saying yes, I realized how many little pieces of my life they'd already claimed without asking. And once I started pulling those pieces back, everything around Matt started to fall apart. After I declined the Venmo request and sent "Try working," everything went quiet. Not normal quiet. The kind of quiet that feels staged, like everyone is in a group chat you're not part of. No texts, no calls, no sarcastic replies, just nothing. First, I enjoyed it. I focused on work, on my new team, on finally having evenings that weren't spent putting out someone else's fire. I went to dinners. I went to the gym. I slept. It was peaceful in a way I hadn't felt in years. That lasted exactly 9 days. My mom called me on a Sunday morning. No hello, no small talk. She said Matt told her I'd abandoned the family, and that Harper had cried on Christmas morning because I'd promised her something and didn't deliver. I asked what exactly I'd promised. My mom hesitated, then said she wasn't sure, but Matt was very upset and Harper was really disappointed. I didn't correct her. I didn't defend myself. I just said I wasn't discussing it and ended the call. That's when the messages started. Not direct requests, not yet. Just fishing. Matt would text me photos of Harper's report card with comments like straight A's. She really deserves something special. Then a picture of their living room with couches falling apart. But we'll manage, I guess. Then a casual, "Must be nice to have a corner office. We're still grinding over here." I didn't reply to any of it. A few days later, I got a notification from Amazon. A package had been delivered to my apartment. I wasn't expecting anything. When I got home, there was a small box outside my door. Inside was a glittery thank you card from Harper. It said, Thank you for always being the best aunt. You always come through for me. I can't wait to take my new bag to school. Love you. No bag, no gift receipt, just the assumption. That was the moment it really hit me. This wasn't about Christmas anymore. This was expectation. They had already mentally spent my money. I didn't respond. I didn't call. I didn't correct her. I let it sit. 3 days later, Matt called. I almost didn't answer, but I did. He didn't waste time. He said Harper's class was planning a spring break trip and it would be amazing for her, and he didn't want her to feel left out. And since I was doing so well now, it would probably be easy for me to cover it. No. How are you? No. Congrats again. Straight to the point. I told him no. Just that. No explanation, no softening, no apology. There was a pause. Then he laughed like I was joking. I said no again and hung up. After that, his tone changed. The next text I got was, "Wow, you really changed. Then money really does ruin people. Then don't forget who was there for you when you had nothing." That one actually made me laugh, because I remembered exactly who wasn't around when I had nothing. And I also remembered how much I'd already given them over the years. Rent, groceries, school supplies, emergency car repairs, birthday parties, vacations I paid for and didn't even attend. They never saw generosity. They saw a resource. And now that the resource was pulling back, they were getting nervous that I didn't realize it at the time. But that was the moment Matt stopped seeing me as his sister and started seeing me as a problem. The shift from silence to full-on manipulation didn't take long. After I told Matt no about Harper's trip and hung up, he spent a few days pretending to have dignity. Then the texts started again, short, sharp, and petty. Things like, "You've changed," or "Guess you forgot where you came from." And my personal favorite, "Success doesn't buy character." I didn't reply. It didn't bother me, not in the way he wanted it to. It was almost funny in a sad way, like watching a kid throw rocks at a brick wall and get confused when it doesn't move. Then came Harper's birthday. I wasn't invited. Of course not. But my mom still sent me a photo from the party. A backyard setup, cheap plastic decorations, a folding table with store-bought cupcakes. None of that caught my attention. The gift table did. Right in the center was a MacBook box. Silver. New looking. But something felt off. I zoomed in. The seal was already broken. The box looked too clean, like it had never been shipped or handled. The more I stared at it, the more I realized it was probably empty. Just a prop. A statement that I didn't say anything. Let them have their moment. Later that night, Matt called. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. And again. On the third call, I picked up. I don't know why. Maybe part of me still hoped he'd say something honest. He didn't. He asked if I'd seen the pictures. Said Harper had a great day despite everything. Then, in that flat, fake casual voice he used when he was about to say something cruel, he added, "We made it work. Even without your help." I stayed quiet. Then he said the line that changed everything. "You know, it's actually kind of pathetic. You used to be generous. Now you act like you're better than everyone. You're not. You just got lucky, Julia." It landed differently than he expected. Not because it hurt, but because I recognized it. I'd heard that tone before. From co-workers who didn't get the promotions I did. From exes who joked about me earning more than them. From friends who disappeared the moment my life stopped matching theirs. I just got lucky to as if the years of sacrifice didn't count that I didn't hang up right away. I let the silence sit. Let him feel how done I was. Then I ended the call and started taking inventory. First, the Netflix account. My name, my plan, logged into every TV in their house. Gone. Then Amazon, where Harper still had my cards saved. Removed, Spotify family plan. Deleted them both. The iPad I gave Harper last year, expensive, with the keyboard and Apple Pencil, was still linked to my Apple ID. I tracked it. Active. I wiped it remotely and locked it. They noticed 3 days later, Matt called again. I didn't answer. Then came a Venmo request. $150. Groceries. Declined. 2 hours later, $60. Gas money. Declined. That night, $12. Lunch money that I didn't even decline that one. I just let it sit. That's when I realized this was never about emergencies. Not Christmas. Not Harper. Not birthdays. It was about access. Matt believed he had permanent access to everything I built just because we shared a last name. Now that he didn't, he was flailing, testing smaller and smaller asks to see if anything would stick, and I wasn't just done giving. I was starting to enjoy watching them learn what no actually meant. Then a number I didn't recognize called. I was in a meeting and let it ring. 10 minutes later, a voicemail popped up. It was Harper. Her voice was sweet. Polite. Too polite. She said she missed me, hoped I was doing well, and maybe we could hang out. Just the two of us, like before. No mention of Christmas. No mention of the iPad or the bag that never showed up that I didn't call back. The next morning she texted, "Hey Aunt Julia. I was thinking maybe we could go shopping sometime soon. There's this boutique in Midtown I really want to go to. Everything is so cute. Miss you." Right? I waited a few hours before replying. "Sure. Let's plan something. Maybe this weekend." That was all it took. She jumped straight into the fantasy, sent the boutique name, then a list. A literal list of things she'd seen on TikTok that she wanted to try on. Balenciaga. Off-white crop jackets that cost more than my first car. Boots she said would look perfect in her locker mirror selfies. I replied, "Of course. We'll make a day of it." She sent heart emojis. Told me I was the best that I didn't even put it on my calendar. That weekend, I packed a bag and went upstate. No warnings, no explanations, just logged off, drove to a cabin I booked the night before, and spent 2 days in silence with wine, a fire, and unread books. I posted a few quiet photos. The view, a latte, my boots at a trailhead. By Saturday afternoon, Harper had texted 3 times asking if we were still going. I didn't reply. By Sunday, Matt was calling again. I ignored it. On Monday, I listened to his voicemail. He said Harper cried, waited by the door, that Tanya was furious. Then he said I'd changed, that I used to have a heart, and now I enjoyed playing games. That part made me smile. I texted back, "You told me to stay away from your house. I'm respecting that." Later, Tanya sent a long, angry message calling me manipulative and selfish, saying I thought I was better than them. She ended with the same word, lucky. I didn't respond. Instead, I found a photo of a limited edition Saint Laurent bag Harper had mentioned before and sent it to her. No words. She replied instantly. "OMG, is that for me?" 7 minutes later, I wrote, "Maybe. Let's see how things go." She thanked me over and over. I knew exactly what fantasy she was building, and I let her. After that, she started posting hints online. Big things coming. Manifesting. Matt unraveled quietly. He emailed asking for help. $1, $500 to get through the month. I didn't reply. I checked the car lease I'd co-signed. 3 months behind. I called the finance company and approved repossession. I was done carrying his mess. Soon after, Harper posted a sad story about people who pretend to care. I ignored it. The next day, Matt called again, furious, saying I thought I was better than them and that I'd only gotten lucky. That made me laugh. When I had nothing, he was nowhere. I thought it was over. Then Tanya showed up at my building. The doorman called to ask if I wanted to see her. I said no. From my window, I watched her pacing outside. Then the text came, "I'm not leaving until we talk." You owe Harper an explanation. I didn't reply. I watched her for a few more minutes, then closed the curtains. An hour later, she was gone. That night, I sent Harper one final message. There won't be a surprise. I'm not buying you anything. I love you, but I'm not your wallet. I never should have let it go this far. There was no reply. Not that night. Not the next day. The silence returned, but this time, it felt earned. 2 days later, my security app alerted me. Motion at the side entrance. It was Tanya again, banging on the glass. Security escorted her off before I got involved, though not before she caused a scene about family betrayal. I watched it calmly, like a movie. Things unraveled fast after that. Matt sent angry texts, threatening to show up if I didn't start acting like family. I ignored them. My mom called later, exhausted. Tanya had nearly lost it in front of Harper. Matt was sleeping in his car. Their electricity had been shut off. She didn't ask me to fix it, just said she hoped I wasn't proud. I had nothing left to say. A week later, I was coming back from a run when I saw Harper sitting alone on my building steps. She stood and casually said she told her parents she was staying with me for a few days. She said she needed a break and wanted to be with someone who had their life together. I felt tired. I told her gently she couldn't stay, that this wasn't her escape. She nodded, picked up her bag, and walked away. That was the last time I saw her. A few days later, I blocked Matt, Tanya, and Harper everywhere. I told my mom this wasn't bitterness, it was boundaries. A month later, She texted back, "I understand." That was it. Life got quiet. No calls. No drama. No requests. Later, my cousin mentioned Matt lost his job, Tanya couldn't find work, and Harper had started skipping school. Tanya said Harper was abandoned. Funny how people forget the years you held everything together. Eventually, my mom told me they were moving in with Tanya's sister. I didn't reply, not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood that caring doesn't mean saving. One Saturday, I walked into the boutique Harper once begged me to take her to. I browsed, tried things on, drank the champagne, and bought myself a bag. Not flashy, not expensive, just mine. I walked out alone, with no one waiting, no one asking for more. And for the first time in years, I felt completely my own.